hills of Los Angeles, I'm and most Hollywood nights. She goes to California, oh, California.
What you say about Los Angeles?
LA got the people saying,
You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy, the show that talks 100% LA Galaxy soccer. We're glad you could join us. Now it's time to sit back and relax as your hosts navigate through the twisting, turning, but never boring world of the five-time MLS Cup champion, LA Galaxy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com, coming to you on a Thursday, January 28th, the LA Galaxy being quiet. It's real quiet, as a matter of fact. MLS making some noise, so we're going to talk about a little bit of MLS stuff. Certainly have some player movement, just not regarding the LA Galaxy, and we have some rumors that we want to get to as well. So MLS, players, rumors, some other things. Oh yeah, by the way, we're going to be joined by new LA Galaxy goalkeeper Jonathan Bond here, if I can get the video to play correctly. To help me do all of that, he's back, he's alive, he's still around. It's Larry Morgan, not on Twitter. Larry, how's it going, buddy?
Can I get an amen? I'm doing fine, Josh. I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that, Larry. I know Eric wanted to take a night off. I know that you wanted to talk some LA Galaxy. I know you wanted to make fun of.
I said I wanted to talk LA Galaxy.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
okay.
Mostly what you said is you wanted to make fun of my haircut. So
that's true. You're channeling Jason Statham, but it's starting to grow back a little bit. So
it's in the awkward teenage years. You know, it's starting to notice girls, but it's still pretty awkward. So that's where my haircut is currently at. It's I would just like to say, Larry, and I will acknowledge this proudly. You have way more hair than me.
I haven't had a cut in a long time. I'm due to get my hair cut next week, so I'm looking forward to it.
All right, very good. We're glad to have you. Well, the LA Galaxy, as we have hinted at and as we have sort of talked about a little bit, haven't been. It's been quiet, I think, is the best thing to say. And I've been seeing the frustrations, Larry. I see people getting upset. And I understand it. I can see sort of where that is. I know a lot of people were certainly upset today because other teams around the league were making announcements and the LA Galaxy weren't. And I know that there was an anniversary of when Chris Klein was named LA Galaxy president today as well. And so there were frustrations with that.
Rejoice.
Yes, and so there was frustration with that as well. And again, I get all of these things. I see them. I see what's going on. I'm not an idiot. So I understand that. I will say this, that with the league supposedly starting April 3rd and 4th, there is time for the LA Galaxy to get their stuff together. So I'm not necessarily worried about anything, and I don't think anybody should be worried, Larry. But it feels quiet. Does it feel quiet to you?
Yeah, I mean, my question during this entire offseason is regarding the LA Galaxy and their player movement or lack thereof is why. I mean, why are they dragging their heels? I mean, how many guys do they have in a roster now? 4, 5, something like that?
It's actually a lot more. There just aren't very many starters. There's 23 players on the roster of a 30-man roster, but we don't expect all those players to stay up, so there's still room.
And I think about 20 of those are the homegrown guys?
Yeah, 8. 8 are now homegrown, which is impressive. Which is impressive in its own way, right? You're like, hey, that's kind of cool. So there's something there as well. But yeah, it's slowly coming together. And by the way, the feelings of slowness is not just limited here to the LA Galaxy or Major League Soccer or anywhere else, Larry. Transfers around the world are down. Money is down. Player movement is down. So it's not surprising to not see that many moves right now.
Yeah, and obviously the reason for all this stuff is, of course, the pandemic, which continues almost unabated around the world. Sure, there are vaccines available now, but is there a light at the end of the tunnel? There is. It's getting bigger, but very slowly. But I just don't see when it will be back to normal. I wish I could predict it, but I can't. I mean,
Yeah.
it's very, very frustrating. But hey, that's the way it is now. I mean, our normal life, as we know it, is over for the time being.
Right.
We just got to bear with it. Stay safe. Stay healthy.
Yeah, I agree with that. So yeah, I mean that's part of the new reality. Well, let's start with some LA Galaxy news, or at least some LA Galaxy alumni news, because as we said, other people are making moves around Major League Soccer, and some of those things happened today. Midfielder Perry Kitchen, who was out of contract with the LA Galaxy after this season, was eligible for free agency, took his free agency to the defending MLS Cup champs, Columbus Crew. So Perry Kitchen will join the Columbus Crew as a free agent, originally from Indiana, Perry Kitchen. And so, not that far away from Ohio. It's more Midwest, sort of central there for him. So it makes a lot of sense. Also, you've been seeing Columbus do a good bit of work in the offseason, and they're getting that we're MLS Cup champs, and you might be able to win an MLS Cup with us if you come join us. And so I imagine, Larry, in my mind, they're also getting some MLS Cup champ discounts right now.
No question. There are a lot worse places to relocate than Columbus, the defending champions. There's no question about that. Speaking of Mr. Kitchen, I'm going to be sorry to see him go. Nice guy, very approachable, very good quote. Got along well with him. And the Galaxy will miss him. They'll miss his presence in the midfield. He had some tough times here. Remember, he missed a lot of the 2019 season when he had that ankle surgery. And then he had a strain groin. He missed a bunch of games. He played pretty well toward the end of last season, but he kind of got lost in the shuffle with Dos Santos and Corona and all these guys. And I'm sorry to see him go.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting actually. Hammer was texting me today, and he's like, "Are people sad to see Perry Kitchen go?" And from a general perspective, from a fan perspective, from us in the press, Perry was very approachable, had good quotes, liked his guys who he wanted to talk to. So he liked me, he liked you, so he would talk to us, and that always provided good content for everybody, and he was truthful with his answers, which is all you can ask for. On the field, though, I think the LA Galaxy are going to miss him a lot more than I think people are sort of understanding, right? I think they're going to miss him on the field. I think that Perry Kitchen made himself a very important part of the LA Galaxy towards the end of this last year, on a team that struggled, certainly. And I'm not gonna lie, Larry, you know that that team was not good.
No, it wasn't.
No. So I mean, you can look at that and say, sort of try to figure out a way to understand that, and what you get is that he was a good defensive midfielder. Not only that, he's the only defensive midfielder on the roster. So when you get rid of him, there's a hole put there. I mean, it's funny. It goes back to me a little bit, Larry. Whenever Perry Kitchen left, it felt like whenever Jeff Lorenowitz left the LA Galaxy. Yes. And I thought Jeff Lorenowitz was way undervalued for what he did. Now, Perry Kitchen made a lot of money, so I don't think you can say he was undervalued. I think he might have been underappreciated for what he did. But whenever I look at it, I see that there's a hole in the no Corona. That's gone. Corona's gone, right? No Kitchen. So in the midfield right now, you have Jonathan dos Santos for the time being, because we're going to talk about a rumor about that. You have Jonathan dos Santos. You have Sasha Kljestan. You have Efrain Alvarez. You have Sebastian Lletget. I mean, those are kind of your central midfielders, and there's not one of them that's a defensive midfielder. At best, you can get box-to-box guys like Jonathan dos Santos, maybe Sasha Kljestan.
Speaking of Mr. Kitchen, I have a couple of trivia items.
Oh, yes.
Regarding him. And one last thought about Perry. I never thought he was a great player, but he was a solid player. You knew what you were getting from him. Again, I'm sorry to see him go. But as far as Perry Kitchen, I must admit I researched this. I'm not talking off the top of my head, so right. I did some research, so I wouldn't sound like a ignoramus. But Did you know he was the 3rd overall selection in the 2011 MLS Super Draft?
I did not know
3rd overall.
And
number 1 was Omar Salgado.
Okay, yes, obviously.
Vancouver, who's now playing in El Paso for a USL team.
I was going to say the huge Omar Salgado who just took MLS by storm. Yes, this is once again going to prove how important draft picks are. Yes, go ahead.
And number 2 was Darlington Nagbe.
Okay, well, that guy's good.
On to be a pretty good player at Portland. And what's interesting about those two, about Nagbe and Perry Kitchen, they both played at the University of Akron.
And now they're both back with their former University of Akron coach, if I'm correct, with Caleb Porter, and they're back together on the same team.
And one last item about Kitchen as well regarding the 2011 draft. I'm challenging our viewers and listeners. Can they name the Galaxy's first-round pick in the 2011 draft? Without looking it up, without cheating, can they name who it was?
I'm probably 2011.
2011.
I think I have 2012 because it's not Tommy Meyer, right? 2011, not Tommy Meyer. I think 2012 was Tommy Meyer.
If you know this, I am really, really impressed. Frankly, I'd never heard of the guy when I looked it up. His name was Paulo Cardoso.
Paulo Cardoso. Yeah, I know that guy. Okay.
And now he's playing with some soccer entity called the Los Angeles Force.
Yes.
In a league called the National Independent Soccer Association, which I had never heard of.
The NISA. Of course, everybody.
Paulo Cardoso.
Yeah, okay. So I do at least remember him. Remember the player, short guy. He was fine for the LA guy. There were a lot of guys that sort of were him that got some playing time. They weren't necessarily starters. You look at all that stuff and you say, okay, they're pretty close to being MLS talent sort of in there, but they just sort of get shuffled out and moved away. So no, very interesting. Thank you for that. That was was fun. I enjoyed it at least. Yeah. But let's talk, I said Jonathan dos Santos, and we're going to mix rumors in here with everything else because trying to wait and try to do all the rumors at once sometimes works. It doesn't work for the show. I've sort of looked at how the flow goes on this show, and I'm like, no, that's not how it is. But Jonathan dos Santos, and listen, I'm going to tell you right now, the sourcing on this rumor is not good, okay? And we've seen that a lot.
Are you saying it's questionable?
It is questionable. I mean, yeah. I'll flat out say it's questionable. But whenever we talk about, rumors and, Giovinco, we said that the sourcing on the Giovinco rumors was questionable. And now we pretty much have that solved as Giovinco's not coming to the LA Galaxy. So if you're interested in that, Giovinco doesn't even look like it's been approached to the LA Galaxy. The people I talked to kept saying, I don't know where you're getting these rumors because it's not coming from around here. And so, yeah, it's one of those.
Who knows who starts these things? Who knows? I mean, it's ridiculous sometimes. It's just these rumors just won't die. They will not die.
No, they won't die. And some of them are persistent to the point where they get ridiculous. This one is the Giovinco rumor, at least, is I think you can put to bed. I'm done with it. I killed it on the rumor tracker. I'm not interested in it anymore. It's not.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's not important to be watching that anymore. I mean, listen, one of the things you can do to try to figure out if rumors are real or not is just go and look and to see when the Twitter account was actually created. Like the guy who created one in January of 2021. Probably not the guy who's going to be breaking rumors of, that you should be trusting. 5 tweets in, and, Giovanni dos Santos is headed back to the LA Galaxy to join back with Jonathan dos Santos, which is funny because we're actually going to talk about both of them right now.
I wouldn't know because I'm not on Twitter, so.
Yes, everybody knows that. Jonathan dos Santos, let's say it. There are going to be some rumors, and I want to caution everybody. There's going to be rumors around Jonathan dos Santos, and the reason there's going to be rumors around Jonathan dos Santos are a couple reasons. He is a marketable Mexican star, and he has a market both, I would say, here in the United States, but even more so back in Mexico. And he comes from, a family that's well known. And so there's always going to be rumors about him going back to Mexico to play. So that's one of the reasons. The other reason is actually pretty interesting. If he is indeed on a 5-year contract, which we have sort of ferreted out might be correct, and he signed in the summer of 2017, then his contract should be up at the end of the 2022 season. So 21 this year, 22 next year. He should be done. And I don't know if it's a summer end on the contract because he started in the summer, or if it goes 5.5 years all the way over to it. But the timing on his contract now, Larry, means that he has anywhere between 12 months left on a contract to 18 months roughly on a contract. That's it. And there's interesting things about contracts and why you can get transfer money for some and why the transfer money eventually dips down. But usually when you're within 12 months of a contract expiring, you start to get those transfer rumors because one, it's far enough away, Larry, that somebody still might want to pay for the player and put in a transfer fee. And two, it's if the LA Galaxy weren't going to offer Jonathan dos Santos a contract for 2023 and on, and they knew that they were going to end it, then getting something for him now would be better than getting nothing for him whenever he leaves, just at the end of a contract. So when you add
sounds like baseball.
It is. No, I mean, and I think that the MLS teams in the past have done a really poor job of this. That when contracts expire, they don't get something for the player before it expires, and they don't move them. Sometimes it's inevitable, but I mean, look at the contracts that have sort of expired with David Bingham, with Perry Kitchen, and you don't do anything with those. And you could have tried to move Bingham maybe the year before after that and sort of got something around. So what I'm saying is that now is the time, if you're the LA Galaxy with 12 to 18 months left on the contract, that you want to move Jonathan dos Santos. And if you get it to within 6 months of the contract expiring, Larry, we know that when that happens, that the teams aren't necessarily willing to pay because it's only 6 months away, right? It's like, we can wait 6 months.
Well, if I can give a classic example of this, regarding one of my hometown teams, the Cleveland Indians, when they just traded Francisco Lindor. He was coming up in the last year of his contract, and the Indians were not going to pay him what he wanted, so they finally got something out of the New York Mets, a couple of prospects, some decent players, but not great players. But yeah, that's a classic example of getting something before the contract runs out. And if you wait too long, you're in the rabbit hole.
Yeah,
and there's no way of getting out of it.
No, and so that's where you're getting with Jonathan dos Santos. So I think now here's the catch-22 of being in a global pandemic and being in a down transfer market, is that when you would like to move Jonathan dos Santos this winter, the transfer market has been stunted by everything that has sort of gone on with the global pandemic. So numbers are down. Players are down. They're not moving as many players. So all those things affect Jonathan dos Santos' value whenever you would try to move him. Now, could the LA Galaxy move him in the summertime? Yes. And so that's also a possibility, but you're getting to the point where, now what? You have 18 months left on a contract if it's during the summer, and so you're starting to click into these moments where you're not going to be able to get the value that you need for him. So you either sell him now, you hold on to him, you get rid of him at the end of 2022. Those are all the things that sort of come around. So this rumor that sort of surfaced at least makes sense, and it's one we've been talking about for a while, which is Jonathan dos Santos to America in Liga MX. And the reason that would make sense is because Giovanni dos Santos is also playing on that team, and to reunite the brothers is something that always seems to be a popular party trick.
And the Mexican media would love something like that too.
Yeah, they would.
Yeah.
And so you look at this and you sort of try to follow around and you say, okay, that's why this could make sense. So I would imagine that if you're the LA Galaxy, and I imagine as LA Galaxy fans, you're going to watch and see that there is going to be interest in Jonathan dos Santos, that there will possibly be a chance to move him in the next 12 months. And if that's the case, then the LA Galaxy may indeed pull that trigger. Now, it's interesting if you try to do that now, what that would do in terms of roster availability, Larry, because you would basically the LA Galaxy have 4 international spots taken up right now. They have 4 available. If you move Jonathan dos Santos, you would have 3 international roster spots taken up, and you would have 2 of 3 designated player spots open. So when you're trying to give a guy like Greg Vanney coming in, trying to restructure, trying to rebuild, trying to put his guys that he wants on the team and put them in position to succeed, Having more open room, having money to play with, all those things can only benefit, Greg Vanney if they get the players that they want in the positions that they want. I mean, all of that can be really bad if it doesn't work.
Okay, now I'm going to put you on the spot, Josh.
Yes.
Now, let's say an opportunity does arrive to move Dos Santos. It doesn't have to be Club America, it could be someplace else. But knowing how important he is to the Galaxy, how marketable he is, how popular he is to the Galaxy, should an opportunity arise to move him, and you had the choice come down to you, would you move him?
Yes.
Would you?
Yeah. Oh, I would move him. So, I mean, here's the thing is that his last season was not a good season, and certainly a lot of injuries.
He was inconsistent.
Yeah, he was inconsistent. He had injuries. He couldn't stay on the field. But, I mean, I think everybody around the LA Galaxy who are watching are getting the feeling that he's slipping into Giovanni Dos Santos territory and not Jonathan Dos Santos territory.
I hope not.
I mean, the injuries,
Sure,
and then, the inconsistency, the rumors of sort of the party boy lifestyle that he's living it up in Los Angeles, and not seeing the results of that on the field. And Jonathan Dos Santos is supremely talented, Larry. Everybody agrees with that. And whenever he plays the way that he's supposed to play, and he had a 2019 season that was outstanding, playing with Zlatan Ibrahimovic and doing a really good job. That's the Jonathan. It was, hey, Jonathan Dos Santos isn't playing worthy of a DP spot. That was everybody going into 2019. In 2019, it was like, oh, when Jonathan Dos Santos plays well, the LA Galaxy play well, and he's super important. And then you get to 2020, which is injured, inconsistent. I would say it seems unfocused at times. You do all those things. So there's a lot of things that you could sit there and say, hey, this guy maybe could go. So I think after a 2020 season, I move him immediately. If anybody's interested, I move him.
Yeah, I just wonder how frustrated he was last year by the quality of the players around, the quality of the team. But we very rarely got a chance to talk to him. We very rarely made him available, so we never knew the level of frustration he might have been feeling. Sure, would he want to go through that again? No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I know. And I know that there's certainly people who are I think that within the diehard LA Galaxy fan community that people would be willing to move Jonathan Dos Santos. John in the chat room says, but Jonathan is important to Chicharito's success and happiness. I don't believe that. I don't believe these guys are all guys who have played on teams where they fit in. I'll tell you what's important for everybody's happiness: winning. If you win, everybody will be happy, Larry. Right. Even the guys on the bench will be happy because they're contributing to a winning team, right? Bruce Arena had winning teams, and they had guys on the bench, and those guys were happy to come off the bench and do their part because they were winning. So I am, win. As they say, winning solves most problems. Win. Just win, baby. Just win. I think that will solve most of those problems.
Al Davis now. First it was Jason Statham. Now it's Al Davis. My. Who else is he going to channel tonight?
I am a man of many channels. Let's put it that way. So yes, that's. I mean, so I wouldn't be surprised, Larry. For me, I wouldn't be surprised to watch and see Jonathan Dos Santos get moved anytime within the next 12 months.
I'd be disappointed. I mean, I like the guy. When he's healthy, he's very, very good. But again, if the opportunity arose, the price is right. Like you, I would not be surprised if he.
Yeah, if he's gone. I do like it. I like it. You're disappointed by everybody who leaves, aren't you? Is or maybe you can't say.
Just the good interviews. The bad interviews, hey.
You can go. Yeah, that's Larry's.
Pack your bags. You can go. I'll close the door behind you.
I was going to say Larry's gauge of whether or not you are a good guy or a bad guy is how good of a quote you are. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, not necessarily a nice guy, but nice to you. He liked you.
Yes, he liked me. Yes, yes. And when he was in the mood, he was a great quote.
Yes,
he was a great quote.
I was going to say, do you see him playing for AC Milan now, and you say you gave that guy a cane?
Yeah, and this guy is 38 years old, Josh. Are you kidding me?
I know.
I mean, he'll play at least 45 the way he's going.
It's weird. It's almost like it's removed. I see him playing for AC Milan. I see him do it. He's a freak of nature. I get it. We talked to him. He was always very nice to us, so I never had any issues with Zlatan Ibrahimovic. But
I think he liked me because we could see eye to eye, the same
Yes.
level. He was 6'4", 6'5". I'm 6'4".
Yeah.
I wasn't as studly as he is, but we could see eye to eye.
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys, basically with your shirts off, you guys are mirror images of each other. I've seen. Oh, very good. No, it's just, I see this, I just talked about how the LA Galaxy don't have a defensive midfielder, and then I just talked about Jonathan dos Santos leaving as well. I'm not going to lie that if Jonathan dos Santos leaves, this is a bare cupboard for the LA Galaxy.
Yes, it is.
So,
but if these rumors do prove true, that Dennis must have some kind of a plan B to fall back on in case this does happen.
Yeah.
He strikes me as the kind of guy who really thinks things out, who really takes his time. Obviously, with the player acquisitions, which are almost non-existent, but he really plans ahead. I wouldn't be surprised if he has something cooking.
I wouldn't. By the way, Justin in the chat room brings up a good point because we have theorized on this many times. And Justin says, is it reasonable to bring down Jonathan's contract down to a TAM deal and make it 2 open DPs? That's a theoretical exercise that we have done on this podcast over and over again. And
I don't think he would accept it. I don't think he'd do it.
So, okay, this is the whole thing. And let me be very clear about this because I think everybody gets lost in this. And Larry, I think you're lost with this too. If I bring,
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. But it's important because I make this argument all the time, and I think people miss the point on it. If you're making $100 a day, not for this show, but for somewhere, Larry. Let's pretend you're making $100 a day, and so what I tell you is, hey, Larry, I need you to make $50 a day. Now, your $100 a day is only going to last for 2 more days, so you're going to get $200 total. And I need you to make $50 a day. But you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and extend that for the next 5 days. And when I do that, you end up making $250 instead of $200. So I have given you more money over more days. All right. But you're not losing money. I am just simply going to spread out your money in a different way so that way you make more. Because otherwise, Larry, I'm only going to give you basically 2 days worth of work, where instead I could give you 5 days worth of work and you will have that for your security. That's how you work a TAM deal with Jonathan dos Santos, is you spread it out.
Josh, I always knew you were one sneaky dude.
Yes.
You were one sneaky dude. I mean, what's the old saying? I can't trust you as far as I can throw you. Boy, I'll tell you, you should have been a sports agent doing contracts.
I think in my next life I might be a sports agent doing contracts because
But you do raise a good point. I mean, seriously, if you look at it that way, yeah.
That's how you make these deals. Now, here's the thing with Jonathan dos Santos and his age and where he's at. He could probably say, no, thank you. I'm going to go to Liga MX and make, the same amount of money that I'm making with the LA Galaxy right now. I don't have to take a pay cut. I don't have to do any of that. So you have to sort of figure out what he wants. And if you can figure out what Jonathan dos Santos wants, then you can sort of move on and continue that on. So anyway, that's sort of how we set it up. Now, we have some MLS stuff to talk about. Yes. One last thing.
Do you think Jonathan will be with the Galaxy at the start of the season? Yes or no?
Yes. I think the start of the season, yes. If you ask me through the summer, I think I get more murky. I think the transfer window this summer could be an interesting one. But there's a lot of tournaments being played worldwide. World Cup getting ready in 2022. So I almost feel like maybe there won't be a lot of movement this summer. But if the pandemic starts to ease, and if vaccines have had the effect that we hopefully had on everything, then this summer could be a very big transfer window just because there's pent up sort of demand and movement that sort of got stymied here in this winter transfer. So we'll see. I don't know. It'll
be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Okay,
let me give everybody a little behind the scenes of what I'm about to do. Okay, what I'm about to do is play you an interview that I did with new LA Galaxy goalkeeper Jonathan Bond. Larry, I'm convinced it'll play. I just know that it's going to start playing from a point of which I hadn't intended it to start. So there's just this little bit of intro in there that's going to kick in. It literally ended so close to showtime, I didn't have time to trim it down and then get everything ready and get Larry up and all that stuff. So what you're about to see is pretty much a raw interview. Normally I trim the front, normally I trim the back. I will do my best to do those things. But Larry, as long as you're quiet on your side, during the interview, I think that we will be able to do it. So I'm going to start hitting play. You're going to see me saying this is, yep, we're recording, and you're going to have the countdown. So you get behind the scenes sort of action on everything. But I wanted to give you this interview, and in the podcast form, everybody who's listening on the podcast, you're going to miss all that because I'm going to trim it down and make it sound really good in the podcast. But for the live show, you guys are going to get that. So here, talking with a new Los Angeles guy, a guy who just landed in Los Angeles not very long ago, who is at his hotel room hanging out while he's in quarantine for 10 days, is new LA Galaxy goalkeeper, Mr. Jonathan Bond. So we're recording there as well. All right, we'll just intro in. I'll do most of the intro on the other part, so we'll just start from here. Okay. So here we go. Recording in 3, 2, and 1. Jonathan, thanks for joining me. I know a quick turnaround. You just got to LA. How was the flight? Everything okay?
Yeah, all good. The flight was very empty. It was a very strange experience. The airport was dead, very empty. So, yeah, all very strange at the moment. But just doing my quarantine now in the hotel. 10 days, I think it is. So, yeah, 7 or so to go.
Yes, I was going to say, I think we got your new head coach there, Greg Vanney, new head coach for the LA Galaxy as well. I think we got him during his time in LA in the hotel room as well. So we're jumping on top of that.
From Toronto, is that right?
I don't know if he had to quarantine, but I know he was definitely he's living in a hotel now, much like you. I know you said you were coming out so that way you could scout out some locations on where to live and get sort of acquainted with the weather. I was going to say, yeah, it seems like you're bringing the rain with you. I don't want to throw that on you.
Can't get away from it. When I knew I was coming out, I was checking the weather, obviously standard, and it was like 20. Well, I don't know what this is in Fahrenheit, but it was like 27, 28 degrees Celsius. I was thinking, wow, like in January. And then I get here, it's like 12 degrees. I've got my jacket on, my hoodie, but yeah, I'm sure it'll warm up. But yeah. Sorry for bringing it with me. Yeah,
that's okay. This happens, once or twice a year, so you'll get to live through it. You'll see all our rain, some of the snow on the mountains there, and then I'm sure
I don't mind it.
Yeah, we'll be 80 degrees Fahrenheit, no problems here in just a little bit for you. Let's talk a little bit about the journey, though, because it's an interesting one, and certainly a question we popped up right away was, okay, we have this goalkeeper who is apparently coming to the LA Galaxy. This was during the rumor stages, and he has an American passport. I know we've explained it on the show, but I'd love to hear the story a little bit better, and I did read the Athletic article. I know a lot of people have. So there was lots of really interesting details, but I'd love if you could sort of play that back, how you have a U.S. passport and sort of, the link between your mom and how that sort of happened here to bring you to the United States.
Yeah, so, the American passport comes from my mum. She was born and raised in Seattle. And it was actually her best friend happens to be my dad's cousin.
Okay.
So he was over visiting her, as in the cousin, in Seattle. And that's how they got introduced to his cousin's best friend, who's obviously my mum. And yeah, they hit it off straight away, or I'm told. And and the fact that they both loved football. My dad was a massive Chelsea fan. Mm-hmm. She was a massive Sounders fan. And it wasn't one of those things where he introduced soccer to her.
Right.
It was very much she knew all about it, and she was that was probably her favorite sport. So I think they did the long distance thing for a while, and then eventually she decided to move over to England to near London, and then that's where I was born, and I grew up there. And there were even times where I had to get the passport renewed. And we talked about maybe just letting it go, and
right.
Like my mum was straight away like, "No, you're not letting that go, like 100%." I was like, "Okay, fine," like renewed it, and obviously it's been useful all these years down the road.
Yeah, it seems to have been a little bit. I know that there was some interest from Major League Soccer before, so possibly last summer. And if you read the article, it said New York Red Bulls and Inter Miami were possibly interested in bringing you along. What were have you always been sort of keeping an eye on Major League Soccer? Was it something because you sort of had the U.S. connection, or did it become more apparent for you to really look at MLS whenever there started to be a lot more interest?
Yeah, it's always something that I've brought up. I changed agents relatively recently, maybe in the last year or so.
Mm-hmm.
and it's always something I brought up. But if certain agents just don't have any kind of contacts, or they just got no knowledge of that, of moving people over there, then the conversation ends very quickly, and you just get brought back to kind of, because I'm always thinking in the back of my mind, I've got this American passport, like
Right.
that could be of interest, but it just gets shot down. Like, so anyway, I changed agents, and this agency and my agent Richard Lee, they've got good connections, and they're open-minded to that kind of thing. And don't get me wrong, it's not just because of the agency or whatever, but it was a conversation I brought up. I said, look, I would be keen. What kind of opportunities are out there, and that's how the conversations really started. And then quickly you find out who's looking for goalkeepers, and then things started to move relatively quickly from there. The clubs that you mentioned, there was interest there. For whatever reason, to be fair, actually, Red Bulls, I think that, they have the discovery rule. Is that right?
There can be discovery rights. For somebody who's covered the league for a very long time, I will tell you that sometimes there seems to be discovery rights. Sometimes there doesn't seem to be discovery rights. So yes, that could actually be something.
All of that. Yeah, that was all a little bit new and a little bit messy, but in the end, I think speaking to Dennis at the time, which was before the new manager was announced and all that kind of stuff. I just had a really good feeling straight away, just talking to him, and it was like the conversation was just very, very positive, very easy, and I'm happy that it worked out in the end.
Yeah, it seems to be. How quickly did all this happen? Like, how long ago did you first find out the LA Galaxy were interested, and how long did that process take until it was done?
Well, we had conversations in the summer, because I was not thinking I was going to re-sign at West Brom.
Right.
I was thinking about moving on, and just the timing of how COVID happened was not. It wasn't ideal for me at that point in time. So anyway, I had some of the conversations with Galaxy even back in the summer, and it was just a little bit early. It's still in the season. I think maybe they were still waiting to start back. I can't remember now. And they didn't know when the season was going to end. There was just a lot up in the air, and they didn't know what it was going to look like going into next season and stuff. So
right.
It kind of got left that, look, there might be something here in January at the end of our season, or the end of the MLS season. And in the end, I signed back at West Brom, but at that point, I was then suddenly in a little bit more of a difficult position at West Brom. So it wasn't ideal, but I signed back with West Brom, but always in the back of my mind, just kind of hoping and wondering whether that would come back up. And I'm happy. I'm very happy that it did.
Yeah, it seems, and looking back, obviously, over the loan histories and all the different things that you see during your career, that while you were with West Brom, didn't get a whole bunch of first team time, and I think you said that. I think one of the things I remember from that article was really you saying, a lot of people knew I was good, but if people outside the club don't know it, if it's people that aren't just your teammates.
A lot of people know my level, and not a lot of people know my level. Not I'm good, but
okay.
Hopefully I am good, but
okay.
I feel it's funny, like football moves, like time just goes so quickly, and before you know it, as 2 seasons have gone by, and
right,
and you haven't played, and then suddenly everyone's like, oh, well, he's a sub goalie, or like he's a reserve, and it's like, well, that it's not quite as straightforward as that, obviously in my mind, but I was behind a goalkeeper at West Brom who West Brom were a really Premier League team, and they were going for promotion back to the Premier League, so it was a big club, and I moved there, and I did do well there. Like when I played in the cup games, I always played well, and I don't know many goalkeepers who haven't missed a game for like 3 or 4 years or something. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like at some point just law of averages who's going to miss a game, and I would get the chance, but. Look, he didn't get injured. He did well, and like I said, very quickly time goes by, and then when you're signing for a new club, everyone, okay, let's have a look at the numbers, and no one really knows. You could be really bad or really good, but you just look at the numbers, and it's like, oh, that's all we've got to go off. Right, you just go off that. So it's a little bit frustrating, but I I've got an opportunity now to show everyone the level that I'm at, and yeah, I'm very excited, very excited by it.
Is it safe to say you're motivated by the chance? I mean, obviously the LA Galaxy have an open #1 position with David Bingham not being, I would say, not returning, out of contract this year and unlikely to return. I won't close the door completely, although the door is pretty much completely closed. But do you feel you have a chance with that now to really prove that you're a #1 goalkeeper? And I think by your own words, at a pretty large club in terms of just the collective mind of the football world sort of understands that who the LA Galaxy are, and you have a chance to be the #1 goalkeeper. Is that a motivating factor?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's a huge platform. Anyone would be excited. Any player in the world would be excited to play for LA Galaxy. That's just the way it is. They're a highly prestigious club. So, yeah, motivated is the right word for sure. I'm looking forward to getting in and training with Jonathan, with Justin, with Eric, all playing with or underneath Kevin, training underneath Kevin Hartman. So look, nothing is for granted. Like, we all know that. We know how football is, and I can't wait to get training. Hopefully the agreements and everything with the league gets sorted, and we can get training soon. I think is it Musa the 22nd of February? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the date they're telling us now. So we'll go.
Yeah,
technically, we're talking on the deadline day for the CBA negotiations, which I'm sure in this podcast we will talk a whole bunch about. But it doesn't seem like that's going to necessarily today will be the decision day on all that stuff.
Okay.
So I think it's going to be pushed a little bit once they announced that there was going to be a February 22nd start. So I think there's still some time to sort of iron this out, and it seems like the sides are close. But I mean, is that a little nerve-wracking though? I mean, you're coming across the pond, you're coming here to play, you want to start, you obviously want to get started. They're already starting about a month later than they normally start, so that gets pushed a little bit. And then there's questions about work stoppage and everything else. I mean, that's got to be like, hey, I showed up, I'm in the hotel room here, and they're gonna shut down the league for a little while. That's got to be a little nervous.
Well, I think it probably helps I don't fully understand the situation yet. I mean, I'm trying to get my head around it, but I still need to. I need someone to really sit down with me and talk me through what exactly are the sticking points and the negotiations. And obviously, we're not going to do that now, but I will get around it 100%. But yeah, it's funny. Like I got told the 8th of Feb, so I was like, well, he has to be in the country by the end of January, and I was like, oh my god, right, okay, I've got to sort everything out. I've got to fly over,
right,
book the flight, and then literally 2 days before the flight, or whatever, it was like, oh no, we're not training until the 22nd of Feb now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, it's good. It's pros and cons to it, because it gives me more time to settle in, do a bit of training before preseason starts, which is important. But at the same time, yeah, I'm just waiting around, kind of just hoping that, I'm sure they'll sort it out, and between the league and the players. Yeah.
It seems, at least for right now, the day we're recording, I always have to say the day that we're talking, it seems like it's going to head to a solution on that. I'd say you at least have some time. You'll get acclimated to Los Angeles in the middle of a global pandemic, which is always interesting. In and Out, of course, will be there for you. And being we got your weight wrong and said everybody you were 150 pounds, not 190 pounds, because that's what we saw in the press release. If you were 150 pounds, I say you could bulk up on the In and Out burgers. And really set that well. Yeah, but I don't think you need that right now.
Someone must have got the conversion or something. Like they just, I don't know if they were just doing it written down on paper or something. I don't know.
Somebody did make a pretty smart joke that it was probably the conversion from the dollar to the British pound, which I thought at least was a funny joke. Okay, so there was something to there. It was a good joke. But anyway, it was a little misunderstanding there. What are you going to bring to the LA Galaxy? We always get to see highlight videos of people. Most of the time, whether you're a defender, a midfielder, or a forward, we see a highlight video of somebody scoring a goal. You're a goalkeeper, so you didn't get to score a goal in your highlight video. But tell us, what's sort of your style? What are you looking to impart on the LA Galaxy?
What is my style? I would say I like to play out from the back. I feel comfortable with the ball at my feet. I like playing behind proactive teams and forward-thinking teams, so I don't mind playing like a high line and stuff. yeah, just kind of I enjoy the technical side, the speed side. My agility is probably one of my strengths. So kind of like all the things that you would say is sort of modern in the game, like what people say now. That's the side of the game that I enjoy. So that's from what I've heard and what I know about the new manager, that is how he wants to play as well. So I'm excited by that. Of course, yeah, everyone's got strengths and weaknesses and stuff, but I'd say like those are my strengths purely because I enjoy doing those things the most. So yeah, hopefully a bit of calmness, some experience as well, playing at good levels. So yeah, I want to make good connections with the defenders and with the whole team really, but especially with defenders in front of me, and we can just kind of form a cohesive unit that's calm in the defending, intense but calm, and everyone communicates really well. So yeah, I'm sure we're going to do a lot of good work in pre-season, which is where most of the like the standards are set. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I was going to say you're coming into a defense that has hemorrhaged goals over the last couple of seasons, so certainly a welcome change if some of those stay outside of the net. I think for all Galaxy fans.
Yeah, I've done as much reading as I can about that, and it's difficult because I haven't seen like all the games and stuff. But it's difficult to just look at the numbers and say, oh, okay, well, the defense is bad, because if the strikers and the midfielders are just standing around and not doing anything, then suddenly the defenders and the goalkeeper aren't going to have good numbers. Like, you can be one of the best goalkeepers in the world, and if you've got people who don't want to defend in front of you, you're not going to have very good numbers. Like, you can try and dress it up all you want. So yeah, I try and be careful with that when reading it, and just blaming it purely on the defense, because it is a collective thing, and I think everyone understands that now.
You could take over the hosting of this podcast with the many times I have also pointed that out in the same way. So no, I think we're on the same page there. A lot of things. Let's finish off with just a couple fun ones stuff. What's the one thing you told your friends you were going to do whenever you got to California? What was that one thing that you were like, I'm going to California, I'm going to Los Angeles, this is the thing I'm going to do?
It would probably be to go. It'd just be to go to Hermosa Beach, I think. Because whenever we went on holiday, it was like we just couldn't stop going down there. Going to Sharky's, is it Sharky's down there?
There's a Sharky's, yes.
yeah. I don't know. I need to. I mean, everything's shut at the moment, but yeah, just going down all the beaches and stuff it's always a good one.
That's not a horrible thing. And then what's some of the stuff? What are some of your hobbies whenever you're not playing soccer? Are you on PlayStation playing soccer? Are you on Xbox playing soccer? You know, we have a bunch of gamers, it seems like, on this LA Galaxy team now. We start to get more and more every year. I didn't know if you were one of those guys.
Oh, I used to be, but I just get so stressed out by it now. I get so angry when I love, but then when I win, I feel nothing.
Yes.
I'm just relieved that I didn't lose. So it's like a lose. But I've had to stop playing them. They just annoy me too much. Maybe I wasn't good enough.
No, I don't think that was it. No, yeah, you were right. The game cheats. We all know that. I've known that since I was 12 years old. We've all seen it. So no, no, that's great. Well, Jonathan, hey, listen, we could probably do this for a lot longer. I'm sorry you're still stuck in the hotel room there for a little bit, but we appreciate you reaching out. And I'm sure we're going to have you back on many times over the year. So good luck. Get settled in. If you need anything, ask Galaxy fans. They'll tell you where to go for anything, including all the best food. So I'm sure they'll help you out with that. And good luck.
Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it. Speak soon.
All right, there we go. Jonathan Bond, LA Galaxy goalkeeper extraordinaire, getting ready to come back. Now, Larry.
That's Bond, Jonathan Bond.
I was going to say, I knew there would be a Bond joke in there. I know that some people are probably disappointed that I didn't make any Bond jokes, but I figured there were plenty of time for Bond jokes, and I didn't want him to think I was that guy, right away. You, Larry, he would think that you're that guy right away. Me, I need a little bit more time, so that way he could be like, okay, this guy isn't a weirdo. So, I can make some Bond jokes later. But no, behind the scenes, Larry, you got to listen to none of that article or none of that interview because it doesn't transfer over on Skype whenever we do it. So let me hit some highlights for you and just sort of talk about the big thing that you can take from this, and it's something I believe we've mentioned, Larry. Maybe not with you on the show, but here on the show at one point we talked about it. But there were rumors that former LA Galaxy goalkeeper, Mr. Kevin Hartman, who has been on this show, was director of academy at one times, is going to be the LA Galaxy goalkeeping coach. I think that Jonathan Bond has sort of confirmed that for us, and there's a whole bunch of links there that sort of fill into that. So
a very good choice. I'm glad to see that happen. He's, as we all know, he was a hell of a player in his playing days, so it's a really good choice.
Yeah, it's also, Larry, whenever you want to talk about, it's funny, and I see it this way. Whenever you talk about things that Galaxy fans can complain about, you have Greg Vanney, a former LA Galaxy player, coming in to be head coach. There's not much you can complain about there.
Then you have Josh Guesman doing Corner of the Galaxy. Who could complain about that?
Who could complain about? Lots of people, trust me. And so you have that going there. You have, a Dan Calif coming back as an assistant coach, former LA Galaxy, player, Dan Calif. So you can't complain about that. You're going to have Kevin Hartman, former LA Galaxy great goalkeeper, coming back to be the goalkeeping coach, so you can't complain about that.
It's almost like a class reunion.
There is. Do you feel buoyed by that? Are you
Sure.
enthusiastic, or does that mean that it could all go? So are they trying to get the band back together, but the band hasn't played together for so long that their guts are hanging out over there, and they can't hit the high note anymore? Is that what we're worried about?
I mean, all you got to do is look at their track records. They've all been very, very successful, not only as individuals but on teams. So yeah, I'm very enthusiastic about this. I mean, it's like Bruce Arena, the way he judged talent. He knew what he was getting, and you know what you're getting out of these guys.
Yeah.
It's good to see. It's great to see.
Well, I liked how he talked about being a modern goalkeeper. He goes, anybody who would any sort of description of like the modern goalkeeper, a guy who plays out of the back well, a guy who likes to distribute, a guy who is comfortable sort of passing and being part of that aggressive team. He likes to be that. I mean, this is always, you're talking to the guy who once said Charlie Rugg was going to be Rookie of the Year, and so I'm clearly a great judge of talent. But having talked to Jonathan Bond and seeing him, he is genuinely, at least from what I can tell, and he seems genuinely excited to be here, Larry. He seems like he wants to be the number one goalkeeper for the LA Galaxy. He seems that like he puts an enormous amount of weight that carries around the footballing world, and I don't know that you could ask for a better sort of choice if you're going to bring somebody from outside the organization in.
Yeah, I mean, certainly he's somebody who's not only looking for a new challenge, and he'll get one in Major League Soccer. There's no question about that. But the bottom line is he's looking for a chance to play.
Yep.
And he's looking for a chance to play, and he's going to get that on what he's called one of the biggest teams in the world. How can you not get excited about that?
The people are excited. They should be.
Yeah.
Travis points out that I did lead him on the hobbies question. I asked him what his hobbies were, and then asked him basically if he was a gamer, and sort of dragged him down that way. I thought his answer was very interesting. In terms of that, he thinks the game cheats too. Actually, I said the game cheats. I think he agreed with me. So he's not necessarily a gamer, but we didn't actually find out what any of his hobbies are. Travis, when I have him on next time, it'll be one of the first questions I ask. I promise. We'll make sure we do it. I could have talked to him for an hour. He wasn't doing anything in his hotel, so that probably would have been okay. He said, whenever I initially started the call with him, I said, "Hey, thanks for doing this." I go, "You have to be jet lagged, the whole deal." And he basically said, "No." He goes, "I got nothing to do here." He goes, "I have to stay in this hotel room." He goes, "I can only order so much room service, like all that stuff." He's like, so doing this is great, and that's kind of how we got Greg Vanney too. So it works.
I'm surprised that they make room service available. I remember when Kevin was with the Galaxy in the bubble in Orlando, he did not get room service. He had to get takeout everywhere. So I'm surprised they're making it available to him.
Hey, he's a big superstar, unlike our one-footed panda, who, by the way,
right. Best wishes to Kevin on his recuperation from the broken foot. Yes, he is embarrassed about how it happened. I'd be embarrassed too, but best wishes to him.
I was going to say he has a broken wheel. Thoughts and prayers to Kevin on that broken wheel. He just missed that curb. Another 3 inches up, and he would have had something.
Although the curb was only about that high.
I was going to say it's a little tiny curb. All right, let's get as we wrap up the show here and sort of try to end on a good note. I want to talk about MLS and what MLS has been doing in the last couple of days. So let's go over what's happening with the CBA, with MLS and MLSPA. It's important to note that the MLS sent out a memo regarding a possible work stoppage to all teams. All right, I can listen. ESPN first reported it with Jeff Carlisle. I know The Athletic then confirmed that, and they had the thing. I can also confirm, if you need that the LA Galaxy received that said memo from Mark Abbott about a possible work stoppage. And basically, there's rules that go into place if there is a work stoppage, a lockout. Players aren't allowed to be there. I mean, even just trying to go through public relations, the PR system of the LA Galaxy won't work if there is a lockout. I won't be able to get to players that way. I will have to try to figure out another way to get to players because there's not supposed to be any communications from the team to those players. So that's what happened, on Wednesday. We're on Thursday now, and what happened on Thursday is basically the MLSPA, the Players Association, responded to MLS on the deadline day today, January 28th. It was the owners had offered Larry to extend the current CBA from 2025 to 2027. Okay, so to add 2 years on the collective bargaining agreement. We talked about how a bunch of this seems like it's baloney in terms of.
Now, this was the agreement that was never officially ratified, correct?
So don't ask me which version we're on anymore because I have no. You're right. They negotiated the CBA before the pandemic that was never ratified. That then they invoked the force majeure to get back, and then they had a new CBA again before they restarted the MLS's back tournament that saw them take it. That CBA took them all the way through this year and had clauses and protections in it to basically operate off the old CBA through the remainder of this year with some other concessions on it. That's how that worked this year. Then MLS came back again and said and invoked the force majeure clause again and forced another CBA talk with the players this year. So technically, this is a new CBA that they're trying to approve and ratify. Okay, that's the whole thing that's going. So you have to throw out, I would imagine, anything else. Although they're using most of the language from that, they're just gonna change a couple things on it.
Yeah. I mean, like having covered various Major League sports for years and years, I won't say how long, but it was a long time before I retired. This is typical posturing by both sides, standing eyeball to eyeball, and they're going to see which one blinks first. And it's going to be curious to see who backs down. I think the league will start on time myself. I don't think they can take a chance in getting more bad vibes after what happened last year with the pandemic and the Orlando bubble. I just think it is going to start on time.
It could, and very well. So anyway, so the owner's proposal was for through 2027, basically to eat their losses this year that they couldn't possibly lose because they said they had to invoke force majeure. We've talked about this many times. They said we have to do it because we're going to lose so much money this year that if we don't invoke force majeure, Larry, then it's not going to, then it won't work, right? Except that they're saying we don't want to make any changes this year. Do we just want to add a couple years on to the end of it? So again, those things don't add up. And the big deal was 2026 and the World Cup in the United States. And whether or not the players would get to negotiate before, because it was supposed to come up in 2025, so the players would get to renegotiate a CBA before that World Cup came. The players have now gone back and said, listen, we're not going to do the 2-year extension, 2027, but we will do 1 year for 2026. The players also offered some salary budget decreases and agreed to a decrease to the media rights revenue share that was supposed to be taking place, which has been delayed multiple times now, and also asking for players 23 and over with 4+ years of experience to count as free agents in 2025 and 2026. Those are the little details in there because you're talking about the MLSPA, the Players Association, trying to invoke here, Larry, increased free agency with this. So it's not just the years. the 2025 and 2026 with just 4 years of experience inside of the league now. That's basically through first contracts when you think about it, Larry. First contracts.
I mean, wasn't it only a couple years ago during one of the CBA talks where free agency was only available for players with 8 years experience?
I think 8 years, and I think now we're at 7 or 6 years, and so it's come down, and so now they're trying to get their 4 years. So again, it's interesting they go in there. MLS has done a good job of setting this up, Larry, to blame the players for whatever happens, because basically they were saying, hey, if we get a lockout, it's because you guys didn't respond back to us fast enough. Hey, we announced the start of the season. You guys got a report February 22nd. We know the start of the season April 3rd. If that doesn't happen, that's your fault. So they've really sort of set this up to try to blame the players, and the players have noticed that, and these aren't happy people talking back and forth to each other. So having said all that, it looks like they're at least on a path that is close. I would, at the beginning of today, I said, hey, these are closer. These two sides seem closer because they're just talking about 1 year or 2 years and how that works. The free agency stuff, that's more important than the years were. And so you have to pay attention to that stuff as well. So
most definitely the freedom of movement is everything. Let's face it, MLS has not been a league where you see a lot of this movement going on until recently. So, but it's just posturing we've seen time and time again. I'm not overly concerned right now. Now, if there's no league going on by August, then I'll be concerned.
Right. but as of right now, no, I know what you mean. Yeah,
I'm not overly concerned.
We'll see how that goes. Okay, quickly to rumors that are not happening, because we only had 3 rumors on our rumor tracker. We had Giovinco, which is dead. We're calling it dead. We have Christian Pavone, which still seems alive, and with the closing of the sort of European and English transfer markets upcoming here towards the end of January and into February, it should allow the LA Galaxy to have more leverage on Christian Pavone. So don't think that is dead. There's a lot of things that still have to be worked out. There's the sexual assault allegations that are still hanging out there as well. So just keep an eye on this and keep watching it. That one is real. We know it. The LA Galaxy are talking to people. That will continue. As far as I know, they have not abandoned that yet.
Isn't it funny with the way you see so often these contract talks are in critical stages, and then all these issues seem to come up out of the woodworks? It can't. It's just, it never ceases to amaze me.
Yeah, and certainly it could. The other rumor that we want to go ahead and kill, and we never gave it much of anything anyway, was Manchester United center back Marcos Rojo. LA Galaxy were listed as a possible team along with Getafe, but we have said that it seemed all along like he was ready to go back to Argentina and play for Boca. And basically there were some Facebook posts around him today that basically confirms that Rojo looks like he's going back to Boca. So he'll go to Argentina, he'll go to Boca Juniors, and the LA Galaxy will not get him. Not that we ever thought that was realistic to begin with. Outside of that, rumors, Larry, I don't know that there are many rumors around the LA Galaxy right now, and maybe that'll change this week.
I texted you earlier. When is the Galaxy not mentioned as a possible destination for these players to suddenly become available? I mean, it's ridiculous.
I was going to say, you can complain about that, Larry, but this year we've had.
I'm not complaining, just
I know. Well, I'm complaining. It drives me crazy. I'm the one who always has to try to figure this stuff out.
That's true.
No, well, it's just that this year I actually like it when the LA Galaxy are mentioned all the time. I've realized that now whenever there hasn't been that much information. I have had 3 rumors on the rumor tracker for like 2 or 3 weeks. There's nothing there. And 2 of those are basically dead rumors now, Larry. So, I mean, Christian Pavone is the only rumor, and it's not even a good rumor because we knew that they were interested in him whenever it started.
What have you been doing in your free time?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't been playing with my Legos, that's for sure. That's one thing. I know you've been keeping busy, but not me. I need to pick up my Lego game. My Manchester United Old Trafford still needs to be built, and it's not.
I have one too. I'm going to build it soon.
Yeah, yours will be done before mine. Maybe I'll give you my box, and you can build both of them at the same time and just hand it to me whenever I'm done. That sounds good. All right.
Double-decker stadium.
Yeah. Well, hey, you know what, Larry? I'm glad that we got to have you back here. That was good. Thank you for.
I'm happy to be of service on this excellent podcast. It's always fun to watch, fun to tune in. You and Eric do a great job.
Thank you.
And it's just a pleasure to be on it.
Well, we are glad that you were back. We're gonna get Sophie back on eventually here too. So we're gonna keep mixing it up. I know Eric enjoys the nights off on occasion, even though he's texting me during the show. So not so much of a night off, huh, Hammer? Anyway, so that's where he is. Larry, anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here?
No, sir. Let's just hope the CBA thing wraps up soon so they can start the season on time.
Yeah,
I miss watching the game, and I want it to be over with and all set to go on time.
Yeah, it'll be good. If you're looking for Mr. Larry Morgan on Twitter, he's not there, so don't look for him. That doesn't work at all, as a matter of fact. Head on over to...
If they want to reach me, they can reach me through you.
There you go. Just tweet at me, and I will tell Larry, and he'll certainly be there. All right. If you're looking for me on Twitter, that's at Guesman, JGUESMAN, and of course at Galaxy Podcast is where you can find us. Cornerofthegalaxy.com is where you can find all of our articles, all of our videos, all that fun stuff is right there. Follow us, like us, leave a review, all those fun stuff. Please do that. All right. For Mr. Larry Morgan, not on Twitter, I'm Josh Guesman. You've been listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Have a great one, everybody.
You've been listening to the Corner of the Galaxy podcast on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Galaxy Podcast, and be sure to check out and subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook by searching for Corner of the Galaxy. Fans, we thank you for listening, and we ask that you be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you leave the podcast. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm Michael Araujo, and on behalf of the entire Corner of the Galaxy crew, goodbye, everybody.